Hello, this is Willow, and I'm going to be reading a story that I've written myself. This is my first time doing this, so hopefully it's okay, hopefully it's not bad. I have written some other stories, but this is my first, big one, or, one that I actually, really like. This is called Back from the Dead by anime_geekgirl_15. Um, this is on Wattpad, and I'll put the link in the description for you to go read if you like. This is chapter 1. It's called Take a Swan Dive. Okay. Itsuki, age 14. Itsuki Midoriya, a quirkless boy whose dream has always been to be a hero. He was smarter than most kids his age and was good at making strategies. Itsuki had been bullied severely by almost everyone, including his childhood best friend, Katsuki Bakugo. He was Itsuki's worst tormentor. Itsuki's home life wasn't the best either. His mother was abusive and a heavy drunk. The only person who cared about him was his father. Hasashi Midoriya lived in America. He kept in contact with his son, but Itsuki never told him about his home life, not wanting to be a burden. That was until one day when everything changed. It was the last day of middle school, and Itsuki was packing up, though he was slower than normal, still being sore from his morning beating he got from his mother, and his afternoon one he got from his bullies, when Katsuki Bakugo came up to him. Deku, I don't know how many fucking times I've told you, a quirkless freak like you can't be a hero, so stop trying. Today the teachers decided to out him about wanting to go to UA, the best hero school in Japan, and that set Katsuki off, worse than normal. He grabbed the notebook that was in Izuku's hands and looked at it. It was his hero analysis book, number 13. You still write these stupid fucking things? And proceeded to use his quirk and burned the book, walked to the window and throwing it out, the book landing in a pond outside. Itsuki stood there, not saying a word, and just watched. The explosive blonde walked towards the classroom door, but just before he left, he turned back to Izuku. You know, if you really want to be a hero that badly, there might actually be another way. Pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life, and go take a swan dive off the roof of the building. He then turned and left the classroom, leaving Izuku all alone, not knowing that it would be the last thing he would say to him in a long time. Izuku had gathered all his things and left the classroom, taking a longer way home so he could have some time to himself. He knew that he would get into some serious trouble from his mother when he did arrive home, but he couldn't find it in himself to care at that moment. I mean, he was just told by his childhood best friend turned bully to kill himself. Yes, Izuku had been told to die by many people, but this felt different. This hit deep. What if Izuku really jumped? What would he do then? Izuku's thoughts were abruptly interrupted by a voice. Ah, you'll make a perfect skin suit for me to hide in. Izuku turned to see a massive green sludge villain. Izuku had seen this villain on TV when his mother was out. He wasn't allowed to watch TV, so he would watch it when his mother wasn't around. It was a new villain that had showed up a few days ago. The heroes were still trying to catch him. Said villain pounced on Izuku before he had any time to react. Sludge began to invade his mouth and he could feel it slide down his throat, suffocating him. Don't worry, it won't take long, just relax. It'll only hurt for a minute, you'll feel much better soon. His tone was sinister and it sent an unpleasant shiver down his spine as he clawed at the goo, trying to peel it away from his mouth so he could breathe again, but it was no use. His lungs began to burn with the lack of oxygen, and tears formed in his eyes. Useless Deku, die. Quirkless freak, why are you still here? Just kill yourself already. No one will miss you if you died. Itsuku's mind went wild, thoughts of all the people that have treated him like shit dancing around his brain. Why do they have to pop up now? You should just die. No one will miss you. Itsuki went limp in the villain's hold and mentally prepared himself for death. It's better this way, he told himself. Detroit smash! Itsuki heard a muffled yell before he fell to the ground and gasped for air, only to be cut off by a coughing fit. Green goo splattering on the floor beneath him as he coughed. He could feel the goo deep in his lungs as he desperately tried to breathe, banging his fist hard against his chest as he heaved. All of a sudden, there was a heavy hit to his back, and a big blob of goose tumbled out of his mouth, and he was finally able to take a big gulp of air he so desperately needed. Haha, I'm glad to see you're okay. I'll be off now. Isky looked up to see. All right? He questioned, voice raspy as he coughed a couple more times before he stood on shaky legs. Yes, it is me, All Might, the symbol of peace. He flexed his arms with a wide grin, and Isku grimaced. Can I ask you a question before you go? Isku asked, hope laced in his voice. Sure, as long as it's quick, my boy. I have lots of hero work to do. All Might responded, grin sealed on his features. Being a hero, it's always been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid. But, can I still be one even though I'm quirkless? Isku asked, looking down at the ground playing with his fingers. It was silent for a good minute before All Might decided to speak up. Heroes put their lives at risk every day, and their quirks are a massive part of it. If you want to help people and save lives, then be a doctor or a policeman. You need to be more realistic, kid. He paused before sighing. So, to answer your question, you can't be here. Find another dream. And with All Might jumped away with the sludge villain stuffed into a plastic bottle. Isku stood there for a while, silently staring at the place All Might once stood. Even the number one hero doesn't believe in you. You should just give up. And the thoughts were back, though this time they were louder and a lot more clearer. Isky wasn't sure how he got here, but here he was, sat on the edge of a 5-story apartment building at about 8 p.m, watching the sunset. You see, after his encounter with All Might, he just began walking, letting his instincts lead him as his thoughts ran wild. So, in the moment, he didn't know where he was going. Isky sat there and watched the sunset for a good hour before he finally made up his mind. He stood up and took his school jacket off and putting it next to his bag, doing the same with his phone before stepping back onto the ledge, taking a deep breath and looking down. Is this the right thing to do? Isky thought to himself. Everyone hates me. Well, everyone but Dad, but he isn't here. Will he miss me? A single tear slid down his cheek that he didn't even bother to wipe away before taking another deep breath and turning around so his back was facing the edge and leaning back. I slowly opened my eyes, but was quick to close them again. A blinding light was the first thing that greeted me. I soon opened them again and let my eyes adjust to the bright light. I sat up and looked around, but all I could see was endless white walls. I stood up and did a circle trying to see where I was. I thought I jumped. I died, didn't I? Is this a dream? Hello? Is anyone there? I began to walk in a random direction, looking around as I went. I don't know how long I was looking for, but just as I was about to give up, I saw a figure in the distance. Hello? I called again, and the figure turned and began walking towards me. As I got closer, I took in their features. A male with blonde hair, with what looked to be a gold tip, bright blue eyes, sharp jawline, and freckles. His face was soft and inviting, and he was wearing blue jeans, a plain white shirt with light brown Converse shoes. He looked like a regular person, but I'd never seen him before, so who was he? So you're our summoner, the blonde said, though it sounded like he was more to himself than me. His voice was soft, and I strangely felt relaxed and safe. What? Where am I, and, who are you? The blonde smiled. My name is Royal, and I'm a ghost. Huh? A ghost? But ghosts aren't even real. And if they were, I thought they were transparent, like an energy? You might want to sit down. I'm going to explain everything, and it will take a while. The blonde I now know as Royal said. I sat down, and he sat in front of me. Okay, so if I start from the beginning, it'll make more sense. I nodded, and he continued. I'm part of your quirk, and before you say, I don't have a quirk, you do. Your quirk was activated when you died. So I did die. But I'll get to that. I'm a ghost, yes, but when you summon me, I grow wings and a tail. Don't ask why, it's just part of the quirk. When I'm summoned, other people can see me, but when I'm not, only you can see me. Same with all the other ghosts. You with me so far? I nodded slowly. My power is what I like to call XP coin. Basically, when I'm in my demon form, I can create bronze coins from the inside of my wrist. I have to touch the coin with my thumb and middle finger, and it will begin to glow gold. Once it's fully gold, it will explode. It takes about 10 seconds to fully ignite and explode, so my coins are basically grenades, he explained. Now on to you. Your quirk is to summon us. That's kind of it. Though you do have another power. You can call it what you like, but basically you can summon the dead. They will listen to your command and seep back into the ground when you deactivate your quirk. It takes energy to use and you'll need a lot of practice, but I'm sure you'll get there. Well, finished. I sat there in silence for a while, taking and processing the information. So let me get this straight, I started after a while. I have two quirks. Royal nodded. I can talk to ghosts that I can summon to what? Help me fight? Yep. The ghosts you can summon are ones that either haven't moved on or are stuck in the afterlife, or wanted to stay by their own free will. There are 6 of us, including me. I nodded. Okay, how do I summon you? Good question, but you'll have to figure that out for yourself. Why? It's just something you have to do. You're good at analysis, right? So use this to figure it out. I believe in you. Royal said, standing up and reaching his hand out towards me. Why don't I show you the other ghosts so you can get acquainted with them before you go back to your world? I nodded and let him pull me up. Once I was to my feet, Royal pulled me towards a door. When the hell did that get there? He opened the door and we went through. Wow. This is where us ghosts live, if you will, when we aren't in your presence. Like when you sleep, or if you want to be alone, this is where we go. Royal informed, gesturing to the open area. There were little cabins, all different colours, some bright, some dark. There were mountains in the background along with the forest. A big blossom tree hung over a large lake that reflected the orange and pink sunset. The meadows surrounding the cabins were filled with different types of flowers. It was like something made out of a fairy tale. It's beautiful. I'm glad you think so. Come along, the others are dying to meet you. Royal took Izuku into a grey cabin, one of the biggest ones there were. It was like a dining hall, where even from the outside you could hear excited chatter, only for it to stop when the door opened, revealing Izuku and Royal. Royal walked in first, Izuku in tow, and stood in front of the table with the green net behind him. As you all know, our summoner has arrived. I have explained most things to him other than your names and your powers, so one at a time, please introduce yourselves. He stepped aside to show Izuku. The first to stand was a petite girl. She had long white hair with pink strands, green eyes, and was wearing a pink flowery dress. She bounced on over to Izuku with a wide smile and stuck a hand out towards him. My name's Echo. It's nice to meet you, the girl said excitedly. Izuku smiled a small smile and shook her hand softly. My name's Izuku. It's nice to meet you too. You seem, bubbly? He said hesitantly. But when the white and pink-haired girl giggled, he felt a little more comfortable. Yeah, I suppose bubbly's quite accurate, she smiled. The next to introduce themselves was a girl and a boy. Though they looked quite similar. They both had dark curly hair with dark green eyes, but if you looked closer, you could see that the girl's eyes were slightly lighter than the boy's. The girl was wearing cargo shorts and a crop jumper, while the boy wore cargo pants and a hoodie. The girl was the first to speak. My name is Faze. That's my twin brother Casper. She jabbed her thumb in the direction of the male next to her. I'm also Echo's girlfriend. It's nice to meet you. She stuck her hand out for a handshake, which Izuku took with another small smile. It's nice to meet you too. He turned to Casper. And you. They all smiled and moved aside as the last two came up to him. The name's Chase, the man, Chase said. He was tall, at least 6 foot, and had long black hair, but when the light caught it, you could see a blue tin tied into a ponytail. Deep violet eyes, and he was wearing ripped jeans and a tank top. This is Vex. He's a little shy. Chase pointed to a slightly smaller boy, maybe 5'10", so not much shorter than Chase himself. He had shoulder-length grey hair with matching grey eyes. Even though he looked kind of menacing, his facial features stayed soft and welcoming. Hey, it's nice to meet you. Itsuki said with a slightly larger smile than before, not feeling so uncomfortable. Now that we are all acquainted, Royal clapped his hands together to get everyone's attention. There are a few more things I need to tell you about your quirk. Once everyone was seated, Royal continued. There isn't much really. First, you need to train both of your quirks to the best of your abilities. Your quirks do have limits, so try not to go over them until your body is ready to do so. Second, you need to learn how to summon us, and then we can help you train. Thirdly, you can still get hurt, but you heal quicker than average since you're technically already dead. And finally, you can't die. Well, you can, but you can wake up as soon as you like. You'll turn into a ghost like us, so no one will be able to see you but us. All you have to do to wake up is touch your body. There are no limits to it. We're all finished with a smile. Isku sat there and took the information in before slowly nodding his head. Okay, thank you for explaining everything to me. He bowed his head. Oh, there's no need to thank me, that's what I'm here for, Rose said with a soft smile as he stood. Let's get you back to your world. Isku waved goodbye to everyone as he once again dragged out. Isku waved goodbye to everyone as he was once again dragged out by Roar. However, Isku didn't seem to care as he was too busy stuck in his head. What in the holy hell is going on with my life? Isku thought to himself with a sigh. Isku opened his eyes slowly. It was dark out, and as he sat up, he realized he was laid on the ground in a puddle of his own blood, though he himself was completely uninjured, just an ache in his spine from the hard fall to the ground. He stood up and slowly made his way up the staircase back to the roof. Once he made it, he sat on the ledge once again, after grabbing his phone that he left there previously, and checked the time. 9:30, Isku whispered to himself. So, he jumped off a roof half an hour ago, only to wake up in a puddle of blood but relatively uninjured. And he had a quirk. It wasn't some crazy ass dream. He actually had a quirk. Well, two to be exact, but a quirk nonetheless. Isku pulled up his dad's contact, and after an internal battle with himself, he hit the call button. Not even 3 rings later, his dad answered. Isku? Is everything okay? You don't normally call this late. He could hear the war in his dad's voice through the phone, but Isku stayed silent for a moment, not really knowing where to start. Isku? Buddy, you there? Dad? Isku finally replied after another few seconds of silence, his voice wobbly. There was a sigh of relief on the other end of the call. What happened, Isku? I have a quirk. Though his answer was blunt, his voice gave away his distress. Well, I have two, but you get it, his voice cracked. What do you mean you have a quirk, Izuku? His dad's voice was soft. However, you could hear that he didn't quite believe him. Promise you won't get mad, Izuku asked quietly. I promise, his dad replied instantly, and Izuku took a deep breath before telling him everything that had occurred that day. Okay, that is the end of chapter 1. I actually had a lot of mistakes, and I'm gonna have to cut some bits out. But I hope you liked it. That's the first chapter, and I will be reading the second one tomorrow, probably, because it's already late. But we'll see. I hope you enjoyed the first chapter. Let me know what you think, and again, I will leave the story in the description, so you can read it if you like, because I did miss some things out to make it sound better on this. Again, this is my first time doing this, so I might be doing it wrong. So any pointers would be great. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Adios.